Well, it's about a lot of things, but one of the things it's about is the fact that they've allowed millions of people to come into our country from their prisons, from gangs, from drug dealers, and from mental institutions, probably proportionately more than anybody else. They came in from many countries. We're getting them out. We had 11,888 murderers come into our country. Many of them are from Venezuela. We had thousands of Tren de Aragua, the gang, come in from, which they say is the most violent gang. I don't know, MS-13 is pretty bad, but Tren de Aragua, they say, is the most violent gang. That comes from the prisons of Venezuela. It came out of the prisons of Venezuela. They've treated us badly, and I guess now we're not treating them so good. If you look at the drug traffic by sea is down 92%. And nobody can figure out who the 8% is, because I have no idea. Anybody getting involved in that right now is not doing well. And we'll start that on land, too. It's going to be starting on land pretty soon.
Okay, President Trump, he's saying communist Venezuela has been abusing America for years, letting violent criminals pour into the U.S. interior. Fact checkers are looking into that nearly 12,000 murderers result there, the president said. But he's also saying expect military action on land in communist Venezuela, quote, pretty soon. And Reuters is reporting the U.S. could possibly seize even more Venezuelan oil tankers beyond the one it seized this week. Joining us now, GOP California gubernatorial candidate Steve Hilton. Steve, I know it's a lot to take on. What's your reaction to what's going on here?
Well, I think this is part of President Trump's commitment to defend America. You see it on every front, supporting our military, the wall, the border security, closing the open border that Biden had, which let so much danger and menace come into our country. This is an extension of that. I know there are some people who might say, well, hang on a second. Trump promised no new wars. What's he doing with all this militarization of the Caribbean, all this kind of stuff? It's ridiculous. This is about stopping new wars, and it is about defending our country, because these people started it. They've been waging war effectively on America for decades. And no one's done anything about it, because we've had administrations who just sit back and take it as if America should be the world's punching bag for crime and murder and drugs and all these things. It's completely unacceptable. Finally, we have a president who's not accepting it. And in doing so, he's acting not just to stop this threat now, but to provide deterrence so other organizations, whether that's countries or international cartels or whoever it may be, understand that they're not going to get away with it with this president.
Yeah, and, you know, the media is not covering that Russia, Cuba, Iran is active, high up in the echelons of upper government in communist Venezuela. MS Now, Rachel Maddow, Jen Psaki, they've been attacking Trump for his actions on Venezuela. It's been accused of, but they're not talking about how Venezuela, communism, accused of widespread crimes against humanity, human rights abuses, 18,000 of its own people killed, including journalists and activists, people getting tortured. It's in a state of economic collapse, 270% hyperinflation, shortages of food, water, electricity, medical supplies. We could go on and on. What do you think of the media coverage here?
Well, I'm afraid it's just another example of what we've come to know very well, Liz, isn't it? TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome. Whatever he does must be bad, and whoever he's against must be our friend, even if it's a corrupt communist dictator or murderous, drug-dealing, international criminal gangs who traffic drugs and children into our country. Whoever it is, you know, wife beater, that guy that they all rush down to support. As long as Trump's against them, they must be for them. It is so embarrassing to see it. There used to be a time when on things like this, we could agree that Democrats and Republicans would agree that it's in the national interest to defend our national security. This wouldn't have even been a question in the pre-Trump era, but of course, because it's Donald Trump, they have to oppose it. It is so humiliating for them.
Yeah, missing in also that coverage of the Venezuelan oil tanker that was seized is the fact that the Biden White House, Joe Biden, put sanctions on that same oil tanker back in 2022. It was, violating embargoes on oil trading to support the dictators in Iran and Hezbollah.
Exactly. I mean, it's another example where they've just completely flipped purely because this is action taken by President Trump. And again, what you're seeing with this president is finally actually America living up to its commitments. I mean, you put these sanctions on and you don't enforce them. What's the point of the sanctions? And so you're seeing on all of these fronts this pragmatic problem-solving approach from President Trump. He's not an ideologue. He's not about pursuing some kind of agenda regardless of the facts. It's the exact opposite. It's saying we got to solve problems. This is a problem. I'm going to take care of it.
Got it. Steve Hilton, thank you so much, sir, for joining us tonight. It's great to see you.